Bologna, in the year of our Lord 1307, a city of towers and teeming markets, of sacred relics and secular ambitions, but above all, a city of learning. Here, within the ancient walls of its university, knowledge, both sacred and profane, was pursued with an intensity that often bordered on the heretical. In the anatomical theater, Professor Alessandro Accillini, a man whose dedication to unveiling the body's secrets was as unwavering as his reputation was controversial, prepared to deliver his lecture. The air was thick with the scent of herbs and the faint, unsettling odor of mortality. The subject lay prone upon the table, a nameless soul surrendered to the pursuit of knowledge. Such a sight was rare, for the Church viewed the body as a sacred vessel, not to be violated, even in death. In a quiet corner of the Dominican monastery, Brother Thomas Aquinas wrestled with the implications of this burgeoning anatomical interest. A scholar of immense intellect, he sought to reconcile the revealed truths of the Scriptures with the emerging knowledge of the natural world. Amongst the throng of male students, a lone woman, Margarita de Magistris, dared to venture into the forbidden realm of anatomical study. Driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge, she defied societal expectations and ecclesiastical disapproval to pursue her medical calling. Accillini began his lecture, his voice resonating with a passion that belied the grim surroundings. He spoke of the heart, not as the seat of the soul, but as a complex pump, a marvel of biological engineering. Margarita, oblivious to the disapproving glances of some of her male counterparts, meticulously sketched the intricate details of the heart, her mind grappling with the profound implications of Accillini's teachings. Meanwhile, Aquinas pored over sacred texts, searching for answers to the questions that plagued him. How could the dissection of God's creation be justified? Was it not a desecration of the divine image? Accillini pressed on, his dissections becoming ever more audacious. He moved on to the brain, the very seat of reason, further challenging the accepted understanding of the human soul. Whispers of grave robbing and heretical teachings began to circulate amongst the townspeople. Fear and superstition fueled their outrage, threatening to erupt into open rebellion. Margarita found herself increasingly isolated, ostracized by those who feared her ambition and intellect. Yet, she refused to be deterred, her resolve hardened by the challenges she faced. Driven by his intellectual honesty, Aquinas sought out Accillini, seeking first-hand understanding of the anatomist's work. What he saw would forever alter his understanding of the divine plan and the very nature of humanity. The scent of herbs and something far less pleasant, a metallic tang that hinted at mortality, wafted from within the anatomical theater. Brother Thomas hesitated. The pursuit of knowledge, he believed, was a sacred duty, but the nature of this particular pursuit troubled him deeply. Could one truly understand God's creation by dissecting its mortal coil? Professor Accillini, a man whose reputation preceded him, lectured with a fervor that bordered on obsession. Today's subject was the circulatory system, a marvel of engineering that Accillini intended to reveal to his students, scalpel in hand. He spoke of Galen and his theories, but also of the discrepancies he himself had observed. Aquinas watched, his mind racing. He had always approached the body as a vessel, a temporary dwelling for the soul. But what he saw before him was not merely a vessel, but a complex machine, its parts intricately connected, each serving a specific purpose. The implications were unsettling. Margarita, ever the diligent student, recorded every detail. The curve of the aorta, the branching of the veins, the subtle interplay of muscles. She saw not desecration, but revelation, a map to understanding the illnesses that plagued humanity. These are not mere conduits, Cellini declared, pointing to the network of vessels he had exposed. They are the highways of life itself. To understand them is to understand the very nature of existence. After the lecture, Aquinas approached Cellini. "Professor," he began, his voice measured, "your demonstration was enlightening, but I confess it raises certain theological questions. Where does the soul reside in this intricate network?" Cellini chuckled softly. "Ah, Brother Aquinas, a question that has plagued philosophers for centuries. I, as a mere anatomist, can only show you what is asterisk. Where the soul asterisk resides, that is beyond my scalpel." Later that afternoon, Margherita sought out Cellini. She had prepared a series of detailed drawings, highlighting the subtle differences she had observed in the arterial structures. It was a bold move for a woman in her position, but her thirst for knowledge outweighed her apprehension. Cellini, initially skeptical, was soon captivated by the precision and insight evident in Margherita's work. He recognized a rare talent, a dedication that mirrored his own. "These are remarkable, Signorina de Magistris," he admitted, his voice tinged with surprise. "You have a keen eye." Margherita felt a surge of hope. Perhaps, despite the obstacles, she could find a place in this world of science, a world that had for so long been closed to women. "Thank you, Professor," she replied, her voice steady. "I am eager to learn more." "Then learn you shall," Cellini declared, gesturing towards the dissection table. "Come, Signorina, let us see if your skill with a scalpel matches your skill with a quill." Margherita stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. The path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but in that moment, surrounded by the tools of science and the promise of knowledge, she felt a sense of purpose she had never known before. The forbidden body, once a source of mystery and fear, was now a map waiting to be explored. The whispers started subtly, like drafts under a door, then swelled to a clamorous chorus within the cloisters. The anatomical theater, with its mysteries laid bare, was becoming a source of profound unease. Questions, once politely phrased, now carried an edge of fear and accusation. "Is it not a sacrilege," one monk muttered, his voice barely audible, "to dissect the bodies, the very temples of the Holy Spirit?" Another nodded grimly. "And where do these bodies come from? Rumors abound." Aquinas, hearing these anxieties, found himself walking a tightrope. He believed in the power of reason, in the God-given ability to understand the natural world. But he also understood the sanctity of the human body, its connection to the divine. Meanwhile, Alessandro Cellini, immersed in his anatomical pursuits, remained largely unaware of the storm brewing outside his theater. He saw only the intricate workings of the human machine, a marvel of creation waiting to be deciphered. Margherita, too, focused on the pursuit of knowledge, but she was not blind to the societal currents. She knew the risks she was taking, the precariousness of her position as a woman in a world dominated by men, and the ever-present threat of accusations of heresy. "We must not shy away from understanding God's creation," Aquinas argued. "To study the human body is to marvel at his divine craftsmanship. However, we must tread carefully, lest we mistake knowledge for wisdom and stray from the path of righteousness." But the whispers persisted, fueled by darker rumors. The acquisition of bodies for dissection was shrouded in secrecy. Grave robbing, a crime punishable by excommunication and earthly justice, was whispered to be rampant. The poor, the marginalized, the unclaimed, they were the most vulnerable. The laws were clear. Desecration of graves was not only a crime against the deceased, but a direct affront to the Church. The consequences were severe, a stark reminder of the power that held sway over both body and soul. The Church, pressured by the growing public outcry, began to exert its influence. Official inquiries were launched. Questions were asked. Accusations were implied. The tension between the university and the religious authorities escalated. Aquinas found himself torn. He witnessed the potential for healing, the possibility of alleviating suffering that anatomical knowledge offered. But the path to that knowledge was fraught with moral peril. The public, whipped into a frenzy by preachers and rumors, demanded an end to the desecration. They saw the dissections as an affront to God, a violation of the sacredness of death. Aquinas knew he could no longer remain neutral. He had to choose a side, to reconcile his faith with the relentless march of scientific inquiry. The fate of the university, and perhaps the future of medicine, hung in the balance. The air in the anatomical theater hung thick with the scent of preservatives and the faint, unsettling aroma of mortality. Professor Cellini, for weeks, had been meticulously tracing the intricate network of vessels within the human body, driven by a question that gnawed at the very foundation of Galenic medicine. Margarita, ever diligent, held the lamp aloft, its flickering flame casting dancing shadows on the stone walls. Her keen eyes followed Cellini's every move, absorbing the details that would one day inform her own practice. She noticed a subtle difference in the flow of blood that Cellini was illustrating. "Signorina de Magistris, do you see something amiss?" Cellini inquired, his voice tinged with both skepticism and genuine curiosity. He respected Margarita's intellect, despite the prevailing prejudices against women in scholarly pursuits. "Professor, the Galenic texts describe the septum as being porous, allowing blood to pass from one ventricle to the other. But here, I see no such perforations. The septum appears to be a solid wall," Margarita stated, her voice barely above a whisper but firm with conviction. Cellini, initially dismissive, now peered intently at the septum. He carefully probed the tissue with a delicate instrument, his skepticism slowly giving way to a dawning realization. Galen, the undisputed authority for over 1,000 years, had been mistaken. Or perhaps the human body was more complex than even Galen had imagined. "It appears, Signorina, that we have stumbled upon a secret of the flesh, a truth hidden in plain sight. The implications, they are considerable," Cellini murmured, his mind racing with the ramifications of this discovery. The accepted understanding of blood flow, and indeed the very nature of life, was now in question. News of Cellini's findings, whispered and embellished, soon reached Brother Thomas Aquinas in his quiet study. A young novice, breathless with a mixture of awe and apprehension, relayed the rumors of a flaw discovered in God's perfect creation. Aquinas, a scholar who sought to reconcile faith and reason, felt a tremor of unease. Could human hands truly uncover imperfections in the divine design? Or was this merely a deeper understanding of God's intricate handiwork waiting to be revealed? Driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge and a profound sense of duty, Aquinas resolved to witness Cellini's findings firsthand. He ventured out into the bustling streets of Bologna, his mind already wrestling with the theological implications. From a shadowed corner of the anatomical theater, Aquinas watched as Cellini meticulously demonstrated the absence of pores in the heart septum. Margarita, her eyes shining with intellectual fervor, pointed out the subtle nuances of the cardiac structure. Aquinas's understanding of the human body began to morph and change. Margarita, sensing a presence, glanced towards the corner of the theater. Her eyes met those of Brother Thomas Aquinas. A silent understanding passed between them, a shared recognition of the profound implications of their work, and a mutual respect for the pursuit of knowledge. As Aquinas walked away from the university, the setting sun casting long shadows across the city, he grappled with a profound question. Could the meticulous study of the human body, with all its intricate complexities and apparent imperfections, actually lead to a deeper appreciation of God's divine plan? He now knew that the temple of God was more intricate than anything he had previously considered. The growing hunger for anatomical knowledge casts long shadows over Bologna. With each lecture, each dissection, the demand for cadavers intensifies, pushing the boundaries of legality and morality. Margarita, arriving early for her studies, notices a disquieting scene near the university cemetery. The figures' furtive movements and the weight of their burden raise alarms within her. A knot of unease tightens in Margarita's stomach. The possibility of grave robbing, whispered amongst the students, now seems a chilling reality. The ethical implications weigh heavily on her. News of the growing number of bodies appearing in the anatomical theater reaches Brother Thomas. He wrestles with the knowledge that these advancements in understanding the human form may be predicated on morally reprehensible acts. In the anatomical theater, Professor Acilini, seemingly unfazed by the rumors, continues his work. He sees only the potential for knowledge, the secrets locked within the human form waiting to be revealed. Driven by her conscience, Margarita seeks out Professor Acilini. She must voice her concerns, even if it means risking his disapproval and jeopardizing her studies. Acilini listens impassively as Margarita recounts what she witnessed. He neither confirms nor denies her suspicions, but his silence speaks volumes. Brother Thomas, seeking solace and guidance, wanders through the cemetery. He prays for the souls of the departed and grapples with the moral implications of their earthly remains being subjected to dissection without consent. The weight of his faith presses down on him. He questions how a practice born of a desire to understand God's creation can be so deeply tainted by sin. Back in her room, Margarita tries to focus on her studies, but the image of the cloaked figures haunts her. She wonders if the knowledge she seeks is worth the price of ethical compromise. Brother Thomas confronts Professor Acilini, seeking answers and assurances. The air crackles with unspoken accusations and the weight of their conflicting beliefs. The pursuit of knowledge continues, shrouded in darkness and moral ambiguity. The line between science and sin blurs, leaving a stain on the pursuit of understanding the sacred vessel of the human body. The weight of Acilini's anatomical demonstrations pressed heavily on Aquinas. The intricate design of the human body, once a testament to divine perfection, now presented complex questions that challenged established theological interpretations. Was the body merely a vessel, or did its physical structure hold deeper spiritual significance? Aquinas engaged in vigorous debates, seeking to reconcile the anatomical revelations with the doctrines of the Church. He argued that reason and faith were not necessarily opposed, but rather two paths leading to the same divine truth. Yet, many remained unconvinced, viewing the dissection of human bodies as an affront to God's creation. Margarita faced relentless opposition from her male counterparts. They questioned her intellect, undermined her contributions, and openly mocked her presence in the male-dominated field of medicine. Yet, she refused to be deterred, her determination fueled by an insatiable thirst for knowledge. A formal complaint was lodged against Margarita, accusing her of impropriety and challenging her place at the university. She was summoned before a panel of faculty members, where she eloquently argued for the importance of anatomical knowledge in advancing medical understanding, regardless of gender. Cellini continued his anatomical investigations, meticulously dissecting human cadavers and revealing the intricate workings of the body. His findings challenged the prevailing Galenic theories, paving the way for a more accurate understanding of human anatomy and physiology. The philosophical implications of Cellini's work continued to weigh on Aquinas. He questioned the nature of the soul and its relationship to the physical body, seeking to reconcile the scientific observations with the teachings of the Church. Undeterred by the prejudice she faced, Margarita immersed herself in her studies, spending countless hours in the library, poring over anatomical texts, and seeking to expand her knowledge of the human body. Cellini, despite the growing controversy, continued to impart his knowledge to his students, emphasizing the importance of empirical observation and challenging them to question established dogma. Aquinas sought solace in prayer, wrestling with the complex theological questions raised by the anatomical discoveries. He struggled to reconcile his faith with the growing body of scientific knowledge, seeking a path that would honor both reason and revelation. Margarita proved to be a skilled anatomist, her keen eye and steady hand allowing her to master the intricacies of human dissection. She became a valuable asset to Cellini, assisting him in his research and challenging his own assumptions. Aquinas sought out Cellini, engaging in lengthy discussions about the implications of his anatomical findings. The two men, despite their differing perspectives, found common ground in their shared pursuit of knowledge and understanding. As the chapter closed, Margarita contemplated the mysteries of life and death, her resolve strengthened by her pursuit of anatomical knowledge. She was determined to challenge the limitations imposed upon her and to contribute to the advancement of medical science, regardless of the obstacles she faced. The whispers had solidified into accusations, heresy, sacrilege. The air in Bologna, once thick with the scent of learning, now carried the stench of fear. Brother Thomas wrestled with the implications, the image of Cellini's dissected cadavers warring with his deeply held beliefs. Margarita, oblivious to the mounting storm, continued her studies, driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge. Yet, a subtle unease lingered, a sense of being watched, of disapproval lurking in the shadows of the university halls. The arrival of the inquisitors shattered the academic calm. Their presence, a stark reminder of the Church's authority, sent a chill through the university. Cellini, though defiant, knew the gravity of the situation. Aquinas, respected for his theological prowess, was called upon to provide counsel. His allegiances were tested, his faith challenged by the unfolding events. Cellini, unwavering in his dedication to scientific inquiry, argued his case with eloquence and conviction. He presented his anatomical findings not as a challenge to faith, but as a testament to the divine artistry of the human body. Margarita, determined to aid Cellini, delved into the archives, seeking historical precedents and theological arguments that might support his defense. She worked tirelessly, fueled by a sense of justice and a burning desire to protect the pursuit of knowledge. The inquisitor revealed the full extent of the charges: grave robbing, the unauthorized procurement of cadavers, and the dissemination of potentially heretical teachings. The implications were dire, the potential consequences far-reaching. Alone in his study, Cellini reviewed his findings, contemplating the accusations against him. He knew that the fate of anatomical study in Bologna, perhaps even beyond, rested on his shoulders. Margherita presented her findings to Cellini, offering a glimmer of hope in the face of adversity. Her research, though risky, provided a foundation for a compelling defense. Aquinas grappled with the evidence presented, his faith and reason locked in a bitter struggle. He questioned the limits of human understanding and the potential for scientific inquiry to illuminate the divine. Cellini, bolstered by Margherita's support and his own unwavering conviction, prepared to face his accusers. He would defend not only his work, but the very right to pursue knowledge in the face of dogma. As Cellini walked towards the looming shadow of the Inquisition, Margherita could only wait and pray. The future of anatomy, of scientific inquiry, hung precariously in the balance. The weight of the accusations pressed down on Cellini. The whispers of heresy had become a roar, threatening to engulf not only his reputation but his life's work. The Church's gaze, once distant, now felt like a burning brand. Aquinas wrestled with his conscience. The truths Cellini revealed were undeniable, yet they seemed to challenge the very foundations of his faith. He sought solace in prayer, desperate for a path that reconciled reason and revelation. Margherita felt the sting of ostracism. Her association with Cellini had tainted her reputation. The whispers followed her like shadows, threatening to extinguish the flame of her ambition. The inquisitors arrived without warning. The anatomical theater, the crucible of Cellini's discoveries, was closed, his instruments confiscated. The pursuit of knowledge had come at a steep price. Aquinas, despite the risks, sought out Margherita. He admired her unwavering dedication to knowledge, a quality he recognized in himself. He offered her what little support he could, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. The university doors, once open to her, were now barred. Margherita's name was whispered with scorn, her pursuit of knowledge deemed unseemly for a woman. The path she had chosen was becoming increasingly treacherous. Cellini, faced with the threat of excommunication, made a painful decision. To protect himself and those around him, he began to destroy his life's work, the knowledge he had so painstakingly acquired reduced to ashes. Aquinas, emboldened by his convictions, sought an audience with the papal legate. He pleaded for understanding, for a recognition of the value of anatomical study in understanding God's creation. His words, however, seemed to fall on deaf ears. Despite the setbacks, Margherita refused to abandon her calling. She used her knowledge to help those in need, offering solace and healing to the poor and marginalized, proving that knowledge could be a force for good, even in the face of adversity. Under the cloak of secrecy, Cellini continued to impart his knowledge to Margherita, recognizing her potential and unwilling to let his discoveries be lost forever. He entrusted her with the flame of scientific inquiry, hoping she would carry it forward. Aquinas, reflecting on the events that had transpired, realized that faith and reason were not necessarily in opposition. He began to formulate a new understanding, one that embraced both the divine and the natural world, a synthesis that would challenge the prevailing dogma. Despite the obstacles, Margherita's spirit remained unbroken. She knew that the pursuit of knowledge was a perilous path, but she was determined to continue, to honor Cellini's legacy, and to advance the understanding of the human body, even if it meant defying the world. The morning of the disputation dawned with an uneasy calm. Bologna held its breath, the air thick with anticipation and dread. Brother Thomas sought solace in prayer, wrestling with the monumental task before him, to reconcile the revelations of science with the unwavering tenets of his faith. Margarita, undeterred by the shadow of controversy, worked tirelessly to prepare the anatomical exhibits. Each carefully positioned bone and meticulously preserved organ served as a silent testament to the intricate beauty and complexity of the human form, a challenge to those who saw only sacrilege in such study. Cellini, despite his years of unwavering dedication, felt the weight of the Church's disapproval. The future of anatomical study in Bologna, perhaps even his own life's work, hung precariously in the balance. The Aula Magna, the grand hall of the university, was packed. Church officials, university scholars, and curious citizens filled the benches, their faces a mixture of piety, skepticism, and morbid curiosity. Aquinas, cloaked in his Dominican habit, entered with a heavy heart. The representatives of the church, resplendent in their vestments, sat in judgment, their faces masks of unwavering conviction. Their presence cast a long shadow over the proceedings. Cellini, fortified by the pursuit of knowledge, began to meticulously present his anatomical findings. He spoke of the intricate network of nerves, the complex architecture of the bones, and the astonishing design of the organs, his words a challenge to the prevailing belief that the body was merely a vessel for the soul. Margarita, with unwavering courage, assisted Cellini, displaying the dissected specimens and anatomical charts. Her presence, a woman daring to participate in a scholarly debate, added another layer of complexity to the already tense atmosphere. Aquinas listened intently, his mind grappling with the implications of Cellini's discoveries. He saw not blasphemy, but a deeper understanding of God's creation, a glimpse into the divine artistry that shaped the human form. The church representatives, however, remained unconvinced. One of them rose, his voice ringing with indignation, accusing Cellini of sacrilege and heresy. The pursuit of anatomical knowledge, he argued, was a dangerous path that threatened to undermine the very foundations of faith. Aquinas, rising to the challenge, stepped forward. He spoke eloquently of the importance of reason and the pursuit of knowledge, arguing that understanding the human body was not a rejection of God, but a deeper appreciation of his divine creation. He emphasized the sanctity of human life and the ethical considerations that must guide all scientific inquiry. The Aula Magna fell silent, the crowd captivated by Aquinas's words. His arguments, steeped in both faith and reason, resonated with many, offering a bridge between the seemingly disparate worlds of science and religion. The disputation concluded, leaving an air of uncertainty hanging over Bologna. The future of anatomical study remained uncertain, but Aquinas's defense had planted a seed of understanding, a glimmer of hope that reason and faith could coexist in the pursuit of knowledge. The disputation had passed, leaving a silence in its wake, not a silence of resolution, but one of contemplation. Aquinas sought solace in prayer, wrestling with the truths revealed in the anatomical theater and their place within the divine order. Cellini remained in his study, the weight of the accusation still heavy upon him. The events of the disputation had shaken him, but not broken his resolve to understand the human body. He knew his path would be difficult, but the pursuit of knowledge was a fire that could not be extinguished. Margarita, undeterred by the controversy, continued her studies. The disputation had clarified the obstacles before her, but it had also steeled her determination to contribute to the healing arts. The knowledge she sought was not just for herself, but for the benefit of all. Aquinas sought out a Cellini. He acknowledged the professor's dedication and the potential for anatomical study to reveal the intricacies of God's creation. He suggested a path forward, one of cautious inquiry and respect for religious sensibilities, in order to promote the acceptance of anatomical knowledge. Cellini listened, surprised by Aquinas's open-mindedness. He saw in the friar's words a chance for his work to continue, albeit under careful supervision and review by church authorities. It was a compromise, but one he was willing to accept. Margherita, permitted by Cellini, continues to assist in the dissections. Her presence is a silent defiance of the societal constraints, a testament to her unwavering pursuit of knowledge. She understood that the path was fraught with obstacles, but she saw the potential for healing and progress. Aquinas, now acting as a bridge between the church and the university, reviewed Cellini's findings. He sought to understand the anatomical realities and to reconcile them with theological doctrine, carefully ensuring that the pursuit of knowledge did not undermine the foundation of faith. Cellini's lectures continued, but under the watchful eye of the church. The atmosphere was more subdued, the inquiries more cautious, but the flame of anatomical inquiry had not been extinguished, only tempered. Margherita continued her studies, poring over medical texts and assisting in the preparation of remedies. She knew her path would be long and arduous, but she was determined to make her mark on the world of healing. Aquinas, reflecting on the events of the past months, began to articulate his understanding of the harmony between faith and reason, arguing that the study of the natural world, including the human body, could illuminate the glory of God's creation. He believed that true faith embraced inquiry, not feared it. The future of anatomical study at the University of Bologna remained uncertain, a delicate balance between scientific inquiry and religious doctrine. But a seed had been planted, a spark of curiosity ignited that would continue to burn, however dimly, in the pursuit of knowledge. Epilogue. Though the path was fraught with peril, the medieval period laid the groundwork for future anatomical advancements. Scholars like Mondino de Luzzi, building on the work of those at Bologna, produced influential anatomical texts. The Renaissance saw a flowering of anatomical knowledge, with Vesalius's groundbreaking De Humani Corporis Fabrica, revolutionizing the understanding of the human body and paving the way for modern medicine. The struggle to reconcile faith and science continued, but the pursuit of knowledge, once deemed forbidden, had begun to transform the world.